Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hawkeye review. First time we're doing this because this is the debut series of Hawkeye. We got episodes 1 and 2. I am Pizza Dog's #1 fan, Tress Snell, and I'm joined by...
I am Armand the
Ooh,
Seventh.
That's awkward. I'm the Shish Kebab Taylor Field.
Where are we?
What do you mean, where are we?
You weren't talking. I was confused.
Well, I feel like you guys talked, so I wasn't sure if you were doing another intro of yourself. But there you go. You got the two there. You got Armand the Seventh, and because like when you both talked, I didn't really hear you both, and then I heard Taylor, but I didn't hear you.
In my mind, I pictured like clockwise, and then I remembered Taylor always wants to go last, so then I went in there, but then Taylor just jumped in, and I can't blame him.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully the review will go better than that opening. So we are here to talk about Hawkeye. So Taylor Field, where can they find us on the interweb? Everything we do.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us via your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerse is our Twitter. GeekVerse is our Facebook. And you'll also find us on our Patreon where you get early, exclusive, ad-free episodes.
Exactly. Go check out everything on those links. We got lots of stuff. Next week will be comic book versions. We'll be reviewing every single issue of the Matt Fraction run. I can't remember what year it is, but the 22 issues. Lots of fun. Taylor's weekly Chucky reviews. Me and Taylor just did a newscast. There'll be another newscast this week. The Dexter weekly reviews. Tons of stuff going on. And yeah, Patreon, best place to listen, best place to support, because the more you support us, more content you get, ad-free, exclusive, early episodes, the whole shebang. Go check out the podcast network. Go check out all our podcast feeds. We got our main feed. We got the review feed, the news feed, the retrospective feed. Lots of good stuff dropping there. Spider-Man, we're re-releasing the early retrospectives that me, Dylan, and Kyle did, like, I think year 2 in the podcast or something like that. So those are kind of funny. And I'm happy because Clay shared with me, apparently in Spider-Man 3, I was talking about that. I was saying that Sony should bring back Toby and Andrew, and I was pitching the whole thing. So very, very good time. So let's see what else. Manscaped, make sure you go check that out because this week they got an even better deal than usual. 25% off the entire site because of Black Friday. And it's not just Black Friday, it's pretty much Black Friday week. Go check that out. 25% off every single item and worldwide shipping. So you want to do that right now before I think they're doing that to the Monday and then or the Friday, and then I think there'll be like a Cyber Monday. I don't know how it all works, but there's a Black Friday and a Cyber Monday, so lots of good things. So let's start with episode 1. We'll do a non-spoilers thoughts of kind of the overall show, but episode 1, and then we're going to spoil. So we'll give you an ad break warning, and you can, if I imagine, if you're listening to this, you have watched the episode. So Taylor, take us away. What did you think about this episode, non-spoiler?
Oh, man. Right from the get-go, this just started to it jived well with me. I feel like this is a great MCU show to watch, couples wise. I feel like it's just got great humor to it, great aesthetic, great vibes. It has so many just fun, awesome moments, and it just got me excited. I just really got into the characters. I really got attached to the story and the dynamic and everything. And I just think that, like I told you guys in the chat, I was ready to binge the whole thing tonight. Like, it's just so good. And we've only had we're talking about the first episode right now, but even though we only did get 2 episodes tonight, this has already gone up into like top 3 MCU shows on Disney Plus. I would even say like top 2. Like
Disney Plus. There's been 4 of them.
I know, but it's just
top 3. It's not the last.
Top 2. I love this show so much.
It went up.
It's awesome, and I'm so excited to see the adventure continue.
And yes, like Fanboy Clay points out in the chat, this one was not a midnight one. We'll be doing that next week where you'll get it right Wednesday morning when you wake up. But this was like 47 minutes, 49 minutes, so I'll say a little bit longer. But next week, it'll be every Wednesday. You'll be getting Hawkeye, then every Thursday you'll be getting Chucky, and then every Friday you'll be getting a newscast. So, Kirklin, did you also want to just binge it in one go?
Absolutely. I mean, I work tomorrow, so it wouldn't be possible. I'm glad I can, wait a week, and it's always fun to theory craft in between episodes. So I see pros and cons to both sides. But as for this first episode, I loved it. Like, first episode was just had me in there. We're reading through the Hawkeye comics right now, and I'm so excited to record that comic book versions episode because just like the similarities that happen in the show, there's some differences for sure. But like the intro sequence, they had like the exact same font, the same aesthetic. Everything was just perfect in my eyes, like just in that regard. So I was super pumped on it. I definitely have some cons with it that I'll bring up in spoiler section, but overall, I think it's great. Honestly, I think Kate and Clint have such great back and forth. I don't know if everybody feels the way I do, but I really like that duo. I really didn't know much about like Kate Bishop or anything like leading into this, other than what we've been reading in the Hawkeye. But I'm really happy that we're getting this with Clint. You would ask me years ago if I needed like a Hawkeye show. Probably not, but now I'm just so glad we're getting this, and just tackling more into that character. And if I don't know, the rest of the series is anything like what we've seen so far, I think that's a plus. Definitely wouldn't be in my top, I don't know, 3 probably on my favorite first episodes. But I thought it was
So
good
then
nonetheless.
it's the last, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
what do we
no,
put-
absolutely.
Well, I guess no. I guess there's 5 with What If, because you got WandaVision, Loki, Falcon, and What If. So there's a top
Yeah.
5 right now of shows.
It's
so.
interesting because like WandaVision first episode, I was just like, oh my god, this is insane. Like I was so at the edge of my seat from this, and then I feel like for some of the other shows, I wasn't like that. Definitely Falcon, even Loki. I feel like I wasn't super gun ho on it in that first episode, and this one I was. I don't know, because there was parts of it that I was really gun ho, and then there's other things that just kind of took me a bit out of it, but. Nonetheless, yeah, I have nothing else to say. Spoiler free section. So
Yeah. Well, he says he has some cons, so we can just do that right there, kick him out. But no, anyway. So yeah, I absolutely love this. These obviously 1 to 2, but even the first episode right away. It's just multiple things going on where Disney Plus's MCU is just hitting me what I need with the MCU right now. I'm hoping that changes with Spider-Man Far From or No Way Home. And actually, I did just watch Shang-Chi a couple weeks ago, and I do really like that one. I can't really figure out where to place it. I will place it at the end of the year in the MCU because I kind of go back and forth. But other than that, I've been a very, kind of, I'd say like not disappointed, but a little lackluster the movies for me right now with Black Widow and Eternals. And especially, it's just so nice that Eternals was dealing with 15 million characters, and it was just shitting on all the stakes of the MCU of like, hey, we just had a world-ending event. You want another one? I love that. This show so far, there's other characters, of course, but tangentially, pretty much it's just about these 2 characters being together, growing, like, and not even just together right now, but just separately, seeing where they've gone. And the good thing is, we're seeing the start of one hero's story, and probably the end of one hero's story. Not even saying like he's gonna die, but it just feels like it's to a lesser degree, but it feels like it almost has that Logan aesthetic where it's like a hero down on his luck. It's kind of maybe like what we've talked about before with like Bond and Daniel Craig, where it's like, oh, he's he's old, but he still has what he takes. Same thing as Hawkeye right now, and I absolutely love everything they're doing. The humor is well placed. I had said before the trailers, I was worried, oh, it's gonna be too like cute, gonna be too comedic because Christmas and a good time. It's not that. I'm not saying it's like dark where we got an Infinity War or Daredevil. No, but there is one moment which I'll shout out right when we get after spoilers and some of us talking about the chat where it was mixed with comedy and outlandishness, but they just do this second where, oh man, they bring the stakes back. And I think the biggest thing for me too is like the world about like a post-snap world. I feel like they're covering that the most in this show. In Eternals, Shang-Chi, like obviously it didn't happen in Black Widow. I'd say WandaVision's probably the most so far when they had the stuff with Monica and Maria Rambeau and losing her mother and stuff like that. But then she gets sucked into WandaVision world and we're kind of off that, right? And it deals with repercussions, of course, Snow Vision, all that stuff. But to actually see what the world is like after the snap, I think this is doing a really good job, even using some stuff we maybe meme about in our life and like using it for the show, and that's great. Seeing Clint, this is where I was always in 2018 the most excited for the show because I want to see his state of mind after everything he's been through, and the show's doing that. Like I said, I worried from the trailers, and he's always been good, and I'm happy that he's getting like a full-on series to really show it off. And Haley Steinfeld is kind of just delivers what we thought she was gonna. We always wanted the casting to work out because we thought it'd be great, and she is fantastically just killing it right now. And it's good because it's funny, we talked about, like we will talk about in comic versions where Kate at sometimes is a little more serious, a little bit more of a loner, and I like in the series so far, they are portraying Haley as that at times, where because she's a very fun-loving actress, she's very comedic, so everyone's knocking it out of the park. It's just a world I absolutely love, and again, MCU where it ranks in the overalls, I'll have to wait for the first 2 episodes. I think it might be number one. WandaVision's tough to match because WandaVision was such exciting factors, but there's just some character stuff in this that I really enjoy. So I think for a pilot and a second episode, which we'll talk about after, is just I think it's my favorite right now. And if it ends as well as it starts, then man, we're very lucky. So go ahead.
I feel like Falcon Winter Soldier would have the most like post snap like you're saying this one has the most to deal with, like the whole snap thing, because they literally like the main villain was trying to bring life back to I don't know when it was snapped, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess for me it is seeing and you paint me in a corner because that makes me go, well, do I really need to rewatch that show? And I do, but like, do I need to rewatch right now? But I guess it's in the world as far as I will pick up this conversation right after spoilers because I want to use some examples, but I'll wait. So
let's do it.
We will be right back after first ad break talking about Hawkeye episode 1 spoilers. I'll write this stuff down somewhere. And we're back. So the examples I wanted to give is, I guess it's more personal stuff where you're right where you have the villain. Her whole motivation is like, okay, we got to stop the, it was the good thing. We all had these, when you think about it, it was so funny. Like, I used to be a teacher and now I'm not. But like, anyways, like, I think for me, just seeing stuff like, it's little things and big things. Little things meaning seeing Thanos was right on the bathroom urinal was very cool because it's just like, right, Thanos is a thing in this world and it is something that's discussed. Like, what was her name? I know it was Flag Smasher, but I can't remember her actual name. But anyway,
God, I can't remember.
Yeah, so
Enfys Nest.
Not Enfys Nest. So yeah, okay, you did have her, but I think for me, what's hitting home is how the stuff they're doing with Clint is he's the guy who missed his family for the 5 years, right? I love for the first episode, it just beats you over the head that he just wants to do anything and everything he can with his kids. So I think you are right in the sense that Falcon Winter Soldier did use that as like a plot device. I guess for me, for the first time, I really feel like, I mean, because it's one of the characters we know and love is like really dealing with it. We're really seeing it. Carly Morgenthau, yes, thank you very much, S. Bubs. Where same thing with Monica, we got to see that with her mom a little bit. But then it just goes right in, like I said, to the WandaVision action. Seeing Clint like really trying to just catch up for the last 5 years that he's missed and trying to spend anything, like, you want to do Gingerbread House, you want to do this, like, he's just like the worst, best dad ever because no matter what the kids want to do, he's going to do it. So there was that. There's the little references here and there. Oh, there was another good one too. I'll probably look in my notes and find it. But I just really enjoyed, I guess, living in that world where you are right. I'm going to have to go back and watch Falcon Winter Soldier to compare. I guess it's just because we never saw them being normal. And other than like, hey, we're doing the barbecue stuff, which was great.
Yeah.
But like this was literally him in New York and stuff. And I love the heroes or people coming up to Green and save the city. But go ahead. Counter me.
He had, well, I'm not going to counter you here, but he
Okay, well,
had he had like a Bruce Wayne moment when they're like in the theater. He's like, I got to get out of here. I'm like, oh no, Hawkeye's going to get shot in some alley here. But no, I loved all of that opening sequence with like the Broadway musical thing.
Yes.
You mentioned the Thanos on the fucking, what are they called? The urinal. There we go. Jeez.
You use them.
And I don't know, because like, yeah, Carly Morgenthau was definitely like a proponent of that, but like you got to imagine there's actually like a huge chunk of people that definitely have that mindset, and I just love all of the world building that we get in these Disney Plus shows, whether it's the opening scene with Kate Bishop, just like experiencing like the Avengers event in the first movie, Avengers, the Chitauri invasion. Like I just love seeing that from like a different perspective, and it's such a good place to do it in these Disney Plus shows because you could do 3 more shows and have them all set like in the Avengers era if you wanted to. I'm not saying they're gonna do that, but like you just have that option. And I don't know, like you don't really have to remind the viewers that this happened, but it's just so fun to get like a different perspective of like just someone that was so vulnerable. Because when we're watching it back in like 2012, it's like, oh yeah, it's so awesome seeing the Hulk grab 2 cars and just throw them in some building and all these things. And then like you don't really think about like the civilians that could be affected by that. Whereas in the opening sequence to this, Kate Bishop's like supposedly father passes away. I say supposedly because, you know, the old line, if you don't see them die on screen, they're not fucking dead. So I'm going to wait for him to come back. But yeah, I'm not even countering you in that sense. I just love all of the post-snap things playing into I don't know, Clint's PTSD and just him trying to like just learn things like what happened in the last 5 years. It's just so well done, and it's one of my favorite things about the show so far.
The Rogers musical is where I realized, okay, this is how much I'm loving this show right now, because it's so you have, obviously you said that really like dramatic opening back to 2012 and stuff like that, so that's big. But then after that, it's Kate like messing around with the ring belts, her being fun, it's, you know, Clint having fun with the kids. And this is why I meant, like, it's just the perfect mix of comedy, because we've talked about before where sometimes the MCU can go a little too overboard, where there's lots of comedic stuff happening. I love Clint's line of he wasn't even there, and they like have a smash cut to Ant-Man, and like it's just like classic like what we do in real life with history stuff of like, oh yeah, that wasn't actually happening, but it just kind of got revisionist history. And now Ant-Man was at the Battle of New York. Now in the public eye, they think, oh yeah, Ant-Man's been in Avengers the whole time, which is kind of fun because he was an original member and stuff like that. So, but I love this. Also, is going on jokes, and they're talking about the Incredible Hulk and how he can smash this, and the good-looking Tony Stark, blah 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 blah, all these things. And then when they get to Nat, it just goes completely silent. And yeah, people can bring up the hearing aid he has turned off, but that's not what the point of it was. It was the point of that is like the first signs of the PTSD, and that's where it's like I said, compared to like a mini Logan, where it's just like we get this later on in this episode and episode 2, where like he has flashes of his life and things he's been through, sometimes used for comedic beats, but sometimes not. And the fact that when he saw Natasha and it just went dead silent, he left the theater. There was no laughs after that. He just left. That told me everything I need to know about the show. Like, okay, I absolutely love what they did here, and I feel like it follows that kind of stream the whole time, and I just love that moment, because again, that's why I was so interested with Hawkeye, because it's like he has the family dynamic. He also has Kate, so that's a good one. He has the Ronin, like he was killing a bunch of dudes. He has Nat to deal with. Like there's like 4 massive things that one of those things you could do a show about, but the fact that they're all going on and they're flowing really well is working. So Taylor, we've kind of been going back and forth. What have you thought about some of the opening? We were talking about the Avengers flashback. We talked about the Rogers musical, stuff like that. And how do you feel about some of the post-Snap World stuff that we got going on, or Blip? I hate the fucking Blip.
I think that them going with the show to start us off, I think it was great. It bothered me and it annoyed me seeing them market and I guess try to like make a cash in off of such a horrific event that people died, and it's just
it's catchy too. Musical. Come on, if we had one in real life,
I didn't think it was catchy. I wouldn't go see it. No, I think it's disrespectful to be honest.
So offended.
No,
I plays a Call of Duty game every year.
If
like,
this was
fucking
we don't have 9/11 musicals or anything like that. It's just in poor taste. I feel like
but the difference is because like okay,
what is the difference?
No, the difference is like Vera Farmiga, which is so great. We got Vera Farmiga in there. The difference is with 9/11 is that was considered a loss. Now New York people died, but at the end of the day, it's considered a win because these Avengers came, and it's like the Avengers stopped it from happening. It would be like if 9/11 were to happen and someone stopped it like in its full front from all the casualties. So that's why I think it's a little bit different. It's a celebratory day. People died, and yeah, that's fucked up. But like, I don't put that past our culture because it was still like a kind of war victory, and it was the emerging of the heroes. Even Vera Farmiga says that, like, oh well, now we have those heroes, and they showed them they won't ever come back here. So that's where people died in 2012. But it was a win because we got the Avengers, you know, and that's why later on Civil War, they kind of. But in Civil War, they talk about that, right? So
I guess I don't know. Like I don't blame Clint for walking out. And again, on that note, like, you imagine
I gotta
if
look up to what S. Bubs is talking about. Come Far Away is kind of 9/11 musical. I'll have to look into this. So
Come
Taylor,
From Away, not Far Away.
Come From Away, yeah. It's Come Far Away. So Taylor, he might got you already, you know.
These emphasis on the word kinda. Anyways, as an actor and you have like you're portraying an Avenger and the Avenger walks at your show, you know you've done something wrong. So
they didn't even know who that was. Come on.
I know, that's
they thought
even
that was
worse.
Katniss Everdeen.
No one told them. Well, that was a separate scene.
Well, and then they even comment like Kate Bishop's is like your issue's Brandy, and I love that they had that line because out of all the Avengers, who's the most forgettable? Like the guy that looks like he's just an agent, you know. So I love that she dropped that line. That was. Again, you guys touched upon just the humor that she had. I thought every single thing that she said just worked for me. I'm a huge Haley Steinfeld fan, so that's just super biased opinion, but nonetheless.
Well, and it also works, too, because it's so funny. As we were go check out our appearance of the vodka stream with Dave, and we were talking about this with X-Men and their costumes and how they're going to do it. When she gave that kind of spiel of, after the blip, people kind of, they don't want just the hero in the T-shirt. They want the heroes to be like like very vocal and very out there. Like she was saying, like now's the time to get like a really spiffy costume because they want like that symbol of hope and stuff like that. So that could kind of be a fun way, whether it's X-Men or other heroes. The reason why we were getting maybe more brighter, outlandish, like very comic book costumes is that the reason, because after years we're so glim on Earth, they just want heroes. So they want these people, like they want Hawkeye, which even though we've seen his costume is going to get later on, it's just a purple arrow. Like it's not that, like get him the fucking mask and then we'll talk, all right? But like I love that spiel of people want kind of hope right now. You know, they don't want just the cool guy, they want the hero, and that she's kind of putting that idea of, like you said, branding.
Absolutely.
So Come Far Away is a Canadian musical with book, music, lyrics by Aaron Sagnoff and David Hine. It is set in a week following the September 11 attacks, and it tells a true story of what transpired when 38 planes were ordered to land unexpectedly in a small town. So I guarantee you it's not as upbeat as this, but it is I think it's saying kind of, it's the whole play is based around 9/11. That's a 9/11 musical. So there you go.
It's based on the planes flying into the towers, or it's based on
the week
multiple
after.
planes. It's the week after. Okay,
I just read you what it was based on.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm reiterating.
And we did it.
I'm
Canadians
reiterating.
did it. We did it. Not even the Americans.
So what do you think? Know. The difference again is that play was based on the actual events. They had Loki in the background. They had Jatari actors and everything. So
but they had Ant-Man. He wasn't even there. Come on.
Yeah.
They had Ant-Man. Yeah.
Where do we want to go next on episode 1 here? How are we feeling about? We've talked about it already, but how are we feeling about Kate's introduction so far? We talked about the 2012 stuff, but we've met her that she kind of seems that she has a job, she has a mom, you know, that's kind of, I wouldn't say hard ass, but trying to keep her in line. She has a job, but she seems very kind of lost in the sense of just trying to find herself. Very plucky, but kind of shut off as well. Because as Kirklin established, who knows if he's fully dead? But as of right now, the dad who is playing the dad in like everything nowadays, he is gone. And obviously, they kind of play up even that first scene that her and the dad had a better relationship than her and the mom.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a strain. And she gets introduced to her mom's new kind of just boyfriend,
side piece,
Antonio Banderas,
who ends up being
Antonio
a
Banderas
fiance.
lookalike.
So how are we feeling so far about Haley Steinfeld's Kate Bishop? Some of these intro scenes.
Yeah, I love the intro scene, like I said before. I love that slow-mo shot of just seeing like Hawkeye like just being a badass. I like literally laughed out loud because I'm like, oh, of course, just like the one person that's just witnessing Hawkeye just be like an absolute champ here.
The one.
Yeah, like actually, it was great. I mean, I already kind of talked about the opening scene, but I loved her introduction. I'm so glad that we started with her just as a kid, because you know the show is about the two of them, but really like who's the one that's going to be leaving the show with like on a higher pedestal? I think it's personally going to be Kate Bishop. And yeah, I don't know. Like you were mentioning like the mom and stuff. I have some things to say about the mom. I really didn't like her at all. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
No, man. Because I feel like I've only seen her in like what was she in, like The Conjuring or something sinister? Yeah.
Departed,
she's a part of that
Godzilla.
series. Of course she's in Godzilla.
Oh yeah.
Godzilla.
Forgettable role. But nonetheless, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of her, I don't think. And also all of their dialogue, I was just I didn't like it. I didn't like the dynamic between Kate Bishop, her, and then Jack. Like the dinner scene that happened later on, a lot of that dialogue kind of hurt, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, no, it was rough because my favorite character, Kate Bishop of the show, is on the screen, but I still just didn't really like those scenes. I don't know. We'll get into those, I guess. You guys haven't even pitched your Kate Bishop thoughts yet.
Well, yeah, and which ones are you talking about? The episode 1's ones or episode 2 ones?
Oh yeah, so yeah, episode 2 when she's wearing like Tom Holland's suit. That's the one I'm thinking about.
Right. Yeah.
That one was kind of jarring. I don't know, because like in the first episode, I don't know, because I'm trying to picture the mom just being this like super rich person that like maybe just doesn't have the most time for her daughter. So like any time that they're interacting, it's just like it seemed like she didn't really have time for Haley. God, Kate. There we go. That's her actual name in the show. And she just seemed very distant. And then there'd be like little sprinkles of just like, oh, where are you? I'm so worried. It's just like, do you really care about your daughter? I don't know. I'm buying it.
I think that's a little harsh. I think it's just that they again established that sure the dad passed away, but it seems like they don't have the strongest relationship between the two of them. And I think that it's another thing where it seems like Kate is quite distant a lot of the time, I think. So I think she gives her the space. That could be me reading into it, but I think you look at the way when she talks to her about the bell, she's very direct, she's very to the point, but then she's like, hey, like, don't let that happen again. And she's like, yes. I like that it was a big blow up. I like that they weren't mad at each other for the whole episode because of that. I think they kind of have understanding of one another, and yeah, we'll see. Like, obviously, yeah, I'll have some stuff mentioned on the episode 2 stuff because I think there was some clunky stuff there, but I really enjoyed their dynamic, and so far I'm liking the dynamic of Jack, and I don't know, there's just
too like cartoony for me. It's like this guy's like a caricature of what this person's supposed to be in my eyes, and I don't know. I
That's
think it's
fair.
weak. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. How you feeling so far, Taylor, about the mom and Jack and some of these scenes?
I agree with you, Kirkland. I think Jack is a little bit too overly animated. I think
Like he's just like the guy that like twirls his mustache. Oh, I'm a swordsman. Like,
Yeah.
Well, he's literally the
Yeah.
sword. His,
I know,
his villain
I
from the
know.
comic is the swordsman. So you know,
he's a little extravagantly eccentric, and that's okay. I mean, he's definitely a character, and I get used to him. But well, Ouija mustache.
You're
that's
very
true.
right, Clay.
well, yeah, but of course you're not supposed to. They've already set up he's a shady dude. Like right from episode 1, he doesn't. Like when they do like the bidding and whatnot, which we'll talk about. You know, it's like clearly this guy's up to no good.
Yeah.
I definitely don't mind the mom. I feel like, again, you guys said some really interesting things. Her relationship with Kate is obviously clearly not a strong one because she was clearly much more in tune with her dad. And even when they were fighting in the 2012 moment, I felt like she was like talking to her husband in a sense like, hey, you know, you to go deal with Kate. Like, I'm not going to deal with it. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, she doesn't have that strong relationship. And I wouldn't go full 100 like you were talking, Kirkland. Where
I went a little hard.
You went a little hard.
I
But
didn't- I didn't pull back on my
I'll give you
punches.
like 80%. I won't go full 100,
Okay.
but
I'll
I'll
take
go
that.
almost there. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes because I don't feel like she does have that full on attachment to Kate. It's just like, hey, like I need to know like you're going to just be in this corner and be alive, and that's all I need to know.
From what I've seen in the first 2 episodes, and again, I kind of forgot that we were just talking about the first episode, so I was bouncing around. But from what I'm feeling, I feel like if it comes down to it, where Eleanor's like, "Oh my God, Jack's actually a swordsman," I feel like she's like, I kind of like him. So like, I think I'm on his side over Kate's side. That's what I'm getting in the first 2 episodes, at least. I could be
Well-
completely wrong. Could be reading into it too much. I don't know.
That's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask that is she, and I don't know if we'll go that far. I think she might just pull the route of like, hey, you should join us in this life or whatnot. But I just don't know when it does all go down. Is she also going to be bad, or is she gonna stick the side? Like, I feel like that's gonna be like another twist that you know it's she like
She
Fish
becomes
Kate.
the pawnbroker or whatever the main villain is.
The pawnbroker. That's a different one. No, like I think if Kate just fully thinks all the bad stuff that's happening in the household or with her mom is because of Jack, I think she'll probably sadly be mistaken in that front. I think that her mom maybe might not be like mustache Waluigi twirling evil, but I think she'll be on the bad side nonetheless. Like she like that conversation she had with Armand was heated, and then she just played it off like nothing. So that's why I feel like she's definitely playing it more. Now they tried it in the next scene when they have the auction, which we'll talk about. Try to play it off like Jack is just using her and using her for her money and stuff like that. So they're kind of going back and forth to make you feel like each other way. So again, I think we're going to, because it's stuff with the first 2 episodes, and we only have 4 episodes left after this. So I think we still, though, will learn more about their dynamic as the show goes along, like even just them growing up together, because yes, the father passed away and they said they're going to project each other. But if they weren't as close as the dad and, you know, Kate were, they can't just maybe, you know, some people can, but I don't think they just automatically got super close again. So
Yeah, I mean, in like the intro sequence, it was a nice little shot of like Kate like being young, getting her medals and stuff like this, and then you see her like as a young girl or a young adult. That's it. Having dinner with her mom and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think I was just hoping for some more moments like that because I've seen many times in movies and stuff where there's been a dynamic where, let's just say, the kid's favorite parent like dies, and then you're just with this other person, and then there's a lot of potential for some really like touching and like heartwarming moments between those two, because it's a difficult situation no matter what happens, and then it's just beautiful to see them try and work through it. And I think I was expecting that, and I just didn't get that at all. And it's just like, oh, okay, this is where we're going. And if it goes the route where she does side with Jack, and like, I'm not saying that's going to be a bad thing story-wise. I just think personally the way that they delivered it, just in the first 2 episodes, specifically the dynamic between those characters, just wasn't my favorite. And but yeah, I don't know. I'm being fairly critical. Maybe I should just talk some positive stuff.
Well, I think I got one to throw out after this ad break. And we're back. So what I want to talk about, which I think is kind of, especially for episode 1, is the main event. Because, yeah, you get some good fights and things like that. But I think as they go to this party, you know, Kate's looking great in the suit and everything like that after them. And see, here's the example of it. Kate's in hot shit right now. She just, like, destroyed a clock and a bell and everything like that. And her mom just requests her to put on this red dress. Almost as like a shot towards her mom. She doesn't put on the red dress. So that's where I feel like it's a two-way street. Like, I feel like this has probably been their whole life of, hey, could you please do this? I literally probably just got her out of prison. Probably have nothing on her record. Probably has nothing to do. Like, and what does she do now? Fuck you, I'm not wearing your dress. You know, it's just like, wow, okay, you little, like, pretentious piece of shit. Like, okay, fine. But here's the thing. I thought first thing when she was going to walk up, the mom would be like, where's your dress? She doesn't call her on that. She doesn't say a single thing. So again, I feel like, you know, she's trying her best. There's like a arm's length between each other. But anyway, so the argument happens with Armand. She decides to follow Armand because she just has something suspicious going on. And then we get the auction. Now, we're going to talk about this a lot next week because I'm very excited when we talk about comic versions, because there is a nice 2-issue arc that has to do with the auction. But a few things there as far as, I don't know if that's where we would see him in the future, but if we are seeing a Kingpin, I could see that if there's another auction down the line where that man pops up, he is in comic version that way. So again, we're going to talk about that. But I love that scene of just, it reminds me too, if people have read Black Mirror, that's really fun, of just selling off Avengers or villains or heroes like artifacts and stuff like that. And they were selling the Ronin. What else? Well, they sold some skull. We didn't really see off
Triceratops.
Yeah. Oh, Taylor caught that.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think before we got to Ronin, I would have liked if we saw a few more like Avengers MCU sort of things, like just smaller tier. But that's fine. Like I said, I think that auction might happen again, and that's maybe where the big man gets introduced because, like I said, that's like this show is very much like Civil War the movie, where it's not the exact same storyline, but it's pulling the complete tone and lots of tributes from the comic book. So that would be a tribute nonetheless. But so they are auctioning off the Ronin's sword and his outfit. Then all of it goes to hell because, bro, the tracksuit mafia show up. And man, when those walls busted, and I just heard the first, bro, I heard a few bros. I was like,
oh yeah,
fuck yeah. And it was so funny because Katie, has no idea, and this is why I'm so happy we read this before so you guys knew them. She does not like the tracksuit mafia, and I could see people not liking these guys, but for me, who's like read them for years now, and like how they are kind of like when we make fun of stormtroopers being that type of level, how that's how they are, and I loved everything about it. I think they were trying their best to get to like Daredevil level action. I don't think they quite got there. I think they were a tier underneath, but the whole scene, her trying to be a hero, and just like her kind of fangirling over the stuff, and we get more in fangirling later on with Hawkeye in the next episode, but I loved everything about the auction, the intensity, the drama, everything going on was very like fun kind of climactic piece for episode 1.
Yeah, for a second, I thought the big man himself was going to be in that back room where like Kate Bishop was like kind of looking. She sees these like really greasy looking like Russian dudes that just don't look good. I don't know.
Well,
part of me was like, oh, this is where Kingpin's going to just pop out of this room or something.
It's funny. Like earlier in the episode, there was a bald guy in the street, and then in that same party, there was a bald guy. Now, when they went by him, he had a beard, but that's why I made the tweet. Like everybody, like each episode, they're looking for a bald guy. Like they're looking for him. Yeah, I thought you might just see like a hand, but no, it was just Armand back there who didn't make it out of this episode.
Are you going to be disappointed if we don't see Kingpin? Because I'm getting vibes that we actually might not, honestly.
I think it's a.
I didn't ask you if you thought it's going to happen. I asked you if you're going to be super upset if he isn't in there. Would it be like, oh, this show's down a point? because he's not in there?
No, because at least with my expectations right now, what I'm expecting even not even like what we got with Kang. I'm trying to think of the best like what would be a substantial cameo in MCU TV show or movie that happened where it's like was an important character but wasn't that important to the plot. Like
Taskmaster.
okay, that's a little more. I get you're going there. Okay, like yes, I would be disappointed, but I guess because one, what I'm expecting of him is literally just one scene, and two,
Oh, okay.
I guess I would be.
I think you might get that.
Yeah, and I guess I'm not okay. Yeah, here's the thing for set expectations. I'm not expecting a Mephisto where it was Fisk all along. I think
Yeah.
what's going to be all along, not Agatha either. It's going to be Jack, and it's going to be her mom, and then Echo is going to play into it. I think what could happen is when Echo, whether we get another auction scene, which that scene's set up perfectly, or we get Echo, who we'll talk about in the future. That's who ended with episode 2. She will report back to her boss, who at sometimes in comic books, her adopted father was Wilson Fisk. And I think it would be as simple as that. And the third one, which I am completely, this is why go listen to Marvel Alliance, because we recruit good people. Brant has this great idea. I'd never even thought about this. I'm not sure if he thought about it or he heard it from someone else, but they talked about it in one of the episodes coming up here where they brought up Avengers Tower again and how it was bought. His theory right now is that it could be Fisk Tower. And that is like a huge
That'd
thing.
be so
And
fitting.
yeah, and that's so. I think if we get Fisk, it will be minor. I would be disappointed. I do want it, but I guess I'm just. It sounds so bad. It's very much like Toby and Andrew, where it's happening. There's just too much. There's too much info for it to happen. And this now seeing these first 2 episodes, it fits perfect. Like this feels like at first it was like, oh, Hawkeye. Like I get Echoes in there and stuff, but seeing the world, how they're making this like crime underworld, like that's recovering since like the Rowan's been gone, stuff like that. It completely fits with a debut
Yeah.
of Kingpin so far.
Yeah, absolutely. My thoughts on the Tracksuit Mafia, I guess. So I was super pumped when they came through the wall, just like you. As soon as I heard that first bro, I like said out loud, I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I'm glad they're in there. And I mean, it's a little like ridiculous, like while you're reading it in the comic for Hawkeye, and like I get it, not everybody will love it. But I don't know. I think it wasn't overdone in the show, but also that's from me having experience, like minimal experience, but just at least experience with the Tracksuit Mafia in the comic. So I could like prep myself. I feel like if you had no idea that, it's like, what are these characters? They're so outdated. Like, what is this? But it's really, really fitting. And I really, really like them. I was really pumped when they're in there. And yeah, I don't know. Part of me was kind of expecting Kingpin to show up in the auction just because, like Travis mentioned, he's been in there in the auction before. So, yeah, I like this tracksuit. Taylor Field, not Travis Snell. We already talked.
I quite enjoyed the tracksuit people a lot, and I feel like
The Tracksuit Mafia. They're not tracksuit people.
Tracksuit peeps.
Mafia. They were hilarious. Like it was a great representation of what we saw in the comic books, and I'm glad that we did read these comics so far to understand like fully what's going on, the kind of the narrative and why they say bro. When I saw them in the comic, I didn't picture them with an accent, and now they're just
Really?
like, I didn't. I just thought they were speaking straight English like this, just bro, let's go get this, bro. And now it just totally makes sense. So both of like 2 pieces of a puzzle just coming together. So I loved it in the show, and the whole sequence of the auction, it was just, again, the Triceratops skull had me. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And then we're going up from here. We got like the sword of Ronin and then the armor. And everything is super cool. And I loved Kate Bishop's Gary thing, because it's always one of those scenarios where like, oh,
That was
the
great.
real person comes in and it's like, wow, they actually guessed the name right. And I love when that kind of thing happens in shows and movies. It's great. So
Gary
that was
sent me.
cool.
I am Gary.
I am Gary, yeah. And then
Who are
how
you?
she turns it around, like, you don't
Yeah.
even remember my name. Like, it's so good.
No, she sells those scenes so well, and I think
Yeah, she
that's
does.
something special that Haley Steinfeld's bringing to the role, is that she can do those lines very, very well. Like even, again, I think I'm jumping to episode 2, but there's a moment when she's like just thinking of like calling Clint. She calls him, doesn't go through. It's just like, do I call him? Do I call him again? I'm gonna call him again. And she's just like that dialogue to herself. She just sells those scenes so well, and yeah, it's fun
She
to have
really
her in
does.
the MCU.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited. Like I know she's gonna be in the show as well, but I'm just very excited by the dynamic of her and Yelena together. That is,
I like nearly forgot, honestly.
How did you? They brought up Nat so many times in this fucking 2 episodes, which is good. It makes sense
Yeah.
because what's happening. But like even his wife brings up Nat and everything. But yeah, so she gets her own suit. She's on the run. We didn't mention him earlier, but this is where we get another tribute to the comic versions. Episode we'll be talking about is Pizza Dog. So in this, she meets Pizza Dog early on, and it's funny because it's kind of the reverse of she meets Pizza Dog, and she is kind of taking on the role that he takes in the comic books, even by saying like, "Oh, that's not my dog. Like that's not my dog." Like that's a fun dynamic. But they even do the tribute of where he's about to get hit by the car, and she.
I was
saves
worried.
him.
I thought it was
Yeah.
gonna happen. Oh, I was so scared.
Yeah, she saves him, and then obviously that's how the press kind of pick up on it because she goes in the public, she's flipping around, and I thought that was such a great reason because I think we'd probably talked about this, but I kind of got out of my mind by the time, and I wasn't on the predictions episode, so I wasn't thinking about it as much as like, okay, he wants to get that suit back because one, like he just wants it back, I guess, but two, the biggest thing is hashtag Pew Boys. Yeah, sorry, Clay, you're about to get a great dynamic duo going on there with Elena and Kate Bishop, but I like that it's almost like he sees someone else wearing it and he doesn't want what the burden he's put on that suit to go on to them, and really like that. So he kind of tracks her down, and so like I said, I thought that was a good reason for him to get back in it. I wonder like how he found her so quick in the last minutes of the episode, because at first when she found Armand really fast, I was like, how the fuck did she do this? But then I forgot, oh right, she works for security. It's one of these like big security things. So like, okay, that's fine. I get people are gonna be like, well, he's Hawkeye, he's a superhero, but like man, he finds her like really fast for just like, I'm on the case and I'm going. And I like that they kind of played up his struggle because his daughters were like, I just want you to be home for Christmas. And, you know, we got in episode 2, we'll talk about now, there's like a Jingle All the Way ticking time clock sort of scenario, or I'll be home for Christmas. Like, it is very much, and I guess we didn't talk about that. Like, this is really going to play as far as, MCU stuff, but it's really playing like a Christmas like show or movie and stuff like that. Like, Christmas music everywhere, lots of Christmas themed stuff. So that theme, like, can he get home for Christmas? I like that. But he finds Kate, he rips the mask off, and he's just surprised that she's a kid, and she's surprised that it's actually Hawkeye, and that's kind of the big ending of the episode. But go ahead, anything on this, and then anything to shout out for episode 1.
It's such a great moment that when they just like pulled the mask off, and like he's just ready to like smack her basically, like, how the fuck did you get this suit? And then I mean, it's not really said in the first episode. Luckily 2 episodes were released, so we didn't have to wait a week for this moment. But like as soon as the next episode starts, he's like upset that the fact that like, okay, now I have to like take care of this girl. Like what did she get into? Like how many people are after her? You know, like he knows that the Tracksuit Mafia is after her, but like what else could she have gotten into of just having this suit? Because like you mentioned, like this suit, it's like I don't know, it's like a plague or something. Like just everything, like anyone that is interacting with it is just in danger. And I mean, we'll talk about Grills when we get to him. Like it was another great moment.
Hey, we don't know. He might not have the same fate in the show. Don't go poor Grills.
I hope he doesn't. I don't know. I was gonna, I don't know, like wait for like a lot of the comic book comparisons until CBV. I don't know. We've mentioned some, I guess, that are like vital to the plot, but I guess on the CBV episode we can deep dive into the comparisons there, just for time's sake.
Taylor, what do you think about some of the ending here and the Ronin suit, all that stuff?
I thought it was very fitting. She saw her opportunity to don the suit, and yeah, Hawkeye found her insanely quick. But I'm on that train of, hey, he's an Avenger. He can find people like fast. Plus, I mean, it probably isn't too hard if you're like cruising through rooftops and you hear guys screaming, "Bro, bro, bro," and smashing stuff.
That's true.
So.
The bros were the dead giveaway.
For
him.
Yeah,
just had to
absolutely.
Well, he had to. Well, I'm excited because that's something that we'll talk about. Here's a conversation I want to like hold until comic versions. Is they set up that he is now deaf, and that is something that will be coming up in this Fraction run. And like it's very, you guys I actually might have even crossed it by now. I haven't got back to it yet because I'm on 15. I'm just getting into right now. But how do you feel, Taylor, about them incorporating that now? That I like. And one point they ask, I think it's episode 2, like, oh, how do you get this way? And then it's just a bunch of flashbacks of all the injuries he's sustained over the years. In the comic books, it's much different how he actually got deaf. But how do you feel about that incorporation now? He's like signing with his kids and stuff like that, so he has a hearing aid.
I think these are the things that can tie us so strongly to this character and remind us that, okay, he is human. He's not like all these other heroes that are just genetically altered, all this stuff, super rich, all that jazz. So you have Hawkeye, who has gone through so much injury. There's a moment I think he like kind of like squatted down or bent over, and like you could see like the stress on his face, just like the acknowledgement, like, yeah, I'm old, and there's like pain as he was like leaning over a little bit. And it's just it's a great reminder that like he's like the most human of the Avengers, and I like that. It's humbling, it's great, and I think it's a great down to earth kind of moment for this character.
Yeah, and like that was something that I thought was so special about just that like musical sequence in the first episode was it's so easy to just have this like happy-go-lucky moment. I mean, Taylor didn't like it, but for me, it was just like a joyous thing. I was kind of laughing at just like the cartoony characters that were the actors playing it, and then in that split second, you just get like the realism of like what Clint went through with Nat, and like just how much like PTSD inducing not just that moment is, but like everything he's kind of gone through. And then like, you know, he like blew his eardrum. Like he's just gone through so much. And like he has the physical scars and the mental scars. And it's so important, in my opinion, that they showed that like within the first 10 minutes of the show. Just to set the I don't know, the vibe of us going forward with the show. And I thought that was so great. And yeah, it just touched upon again in the second episode. And I think it's going to be a recurring thing because he's not the Clint Barton that he once was, right? Like in his prime, fresh out of boot camp or something. Yeah, no, he's got so much more like luggage to carry around, whether it's just like his kids that he has to get back home to. He has like a happy life, like just waiting for him. And this is like his one last ride moment or something like that, right?
My only last notes about episode 1 is just emphasize that we've seen it from trailers and whatnot, but I'm just very happy the dog's in there. I'm a big dog guy, so Pizza Dog, the adventures we're going to get to. I like that little sidekick we're going on. All the posters are cute. They gave him the one eye. One thing I want to ask you guys before you guys say anything else, what did you think about... So the MacGuffin right now is they want a watch from Avengers Compound. Why do you think this watch is important?
I feel like it'll have something to do with the identity of Clint Barton as Ronin. I don't know. I don't know how that would be. Like the explanation of this watch just like tells them this. But I feel like that whole Ronin thing is gonna play of like his identity be revealed, and people just know that this Avenger is like an actual bad guy. Yeah, I don't know. That's my initial vibe. I have no other predictions from that. So
yeah, because I did get that vibe. Because like I said, we'll talk about it on cover versions. But like, is there a potential tape thing out there? But at the same point, is it too coincidental that like, oh, they have this Ronin themed stuff, and then the watch is also Ronin themed? Like, unfortunately,
Absolutely.
I do wonder if it's like more like it's Tony's watch, and there's some cool tech in there or something like that. But that's the route I'm going, where I think it is just something purely very money or tech based and stuff like that. But I do like that one, we got a MacGuffin, but we didn't know what it was, and they had an opportunity to grab it at the end of episode 1, but they didn't because they weren't thinking about, or she wasn't thinking about. I can't remember, was it episode 1 or episode 2? No, I think it was episode 1 when they steal. At one point, like I think it's Kate, she fights a dude, and the watch really like falls right beside them. But because they don't know what this MacGuffin is, they just run right past it. So something that could like be very important later on, just like within their grasp, you know. So
I think I missed that moment actually.
okay, yeah, go back and watch it. It's a great moment. Taylor Field, do you got any theories of what this watch that a bunch of evil people could do? Or a bunch of evil people want.
Initially thought, I'm going to pull up an image for reference, that it might be something to do with Endgame and like their time travel kind of thing.
It's the same watch.
I don't think that's the same watch.
No. I mean, maybe it was like a prototype. Who knows? But I don't know. It could be really anything. It could be any bazillion gadgets that Tony was working on, really. So I don't know if this watch has any kind of reference or mention in future Hawkeye comics in this arc. I don't know. So
no, not that I know of. Like, I think this is purely MCU stuff. So, anything to shout out in episode 1?
S Bubs mentioned a con for him was the action. I am honestly in his camp there.
I agree.
Yeah, I thought it was just not as pristine as it has been. I watched Shang-Chi just like the last week, and like in my opinion, that's like some of the best fight choreography we've seen. Yeah, so like going to this, I don't know, it was not the best for me. I was able to just like kind of forget about it. It wasn't the main focus of those scenes really. Like, you know, it's an action scene, but my attention was on like it's so funny seeing Kate Bishop wear this like oversized Ronin suit. It's just like it just doesn't fit her, and I thought it was just so fun to have her in that suit. But
And I guess what I should say I agree with, because I don't agree with you necessarily that it's a con for me, because it's not a con, but I agree with when he said that it feels a little slow, his comment. That's what I agree with, because that's where
It's
I
a
said
con.
like it feel like, yeah, no, it's a con, but I mean like for you it sounds like almost all the action was kind of like on a lower tier, where for me I was like, okay, this does good enough. Like I said, I felt like they were going for a Daredevil hallway scene. Like even that scene in the auction, I felt like they were trying at times to do a one take scenario. Like there's times where they like zoom in on her cape or her back and then it like transition. So I hope that that will get like a little tightened up and stuff like that. But it didn't. Wasn't a huge con for me, but a con
and
nonetheless.
something that I've noticed just in the first 2 episodes is these like coinky dink moments that are just like, oh well, that's just the way it is, and that's just how we got from point A to point B. They happen all the time in the MCU. I understand that. I feel like there was a little too much just in these first 2 episodes. Whether it was, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself too. So in episode 2, when he goes back to her apartment, and he like literally just strolls in. It's like a police line. Finds a firefighter outfit.
Oh,
It's
no.
random helmet right there. And
I
like,
think it's easier to do that than like they make it out to be. I think I don't want
okay,
to try
prove
it.
me
but
wrong. Wear your watch that is like the same watch that's in the show that'll like videotape everything that's happening.
Well, let's talk about episode 2 now, because that's what you were bringing up there. So episode 2, go ahead. So I had no problem with him sneaking in. I thought it was fine, because to the firefighters, it's nothing big going on. He just sneaks in, Cornelio puts it in there. Like it all worked for me. You know, I thought that was fine.
Yeah, like I feel like if that was the one time, it's like okay, that's fine. But like there was just a few other coincidence moments that that happened in the first episode, and it's just I don't know. I think just them piling on top of each other made me like, ooh, okay, this is a little too easy. I don't know.
So Kirkland, what did you prefer, episode 1 or episode 2?
Episode 1. Episode 1, definitely. Episode 2, actually, maybe I can't say that so easily, because then I wouldn't have gotten the dynamic between Clint and Kate. That was some of my favorite things so far. I think the mom Jack dynamic with Kate I just didn't really care for, and that was a little stretched out. Purely for the fact I just didn't like it. I mean, Jack just goes in, they just like wardrobe chain. Let's just get our fencing gear on. He doesn't do anything. It's like, what is the point of even fencing if you're not even gonna fucking fight? I get it. It's like, the viewer's supposed to think he's like, no, I didn't like that moment.
Really? Oh,
Counter
no.
me.
that
Counter
was
me.
great.
Oh,
Yeah,
double
no,
counter to me then. I'll take both of you on.
The DP in you. No, because to me, he doesn't know Kate is going to be this potential like badass or crime fighter or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I think he is just taking this as a way to bond with her, but Kate is too smart for that. So I think that's what he's trying to do. And he's like, oh, you got me again. And she's like, you're not trying that hard. He's like, oh, but you're like an Olympic athlete. Like he's trying, I think, to almost con her as well. So I like that. And then I love Kate's bluff calling out and going for the face. And right away, he snapped that shit away. It was like,
Yeah.
don't even fucking dare. And then he's like, oh, no. And then it's a great way to her, like another great thing. Like there's 2 great things that happen. It's great showing how smart she is because she outsmarted him. But at the same time, her mom didn't react that big. So to me, that was a tell that, okay, she knows that Jack is maybe not on the up and up. Like she knows Jack's a criminal. She might also be a criminal. So I thought there were so many layers in that scene of like everyone playing one another. It made Kate look smart. It made Jack look like a snake. And it made the mom look like, okay, you're not just dumb of like, if they just played off like, oh yeah, I didn't know what was happening and he's a criminal. I think this was them trying to show us, no, she's in the thick of it just like Jack.
Okay, yeah. So I feel like I didn't really have that thought on the mom in that scene. I was just like, this mom's a fucking idiot, and that's my that's my vibes with it. I don't know. A few episodes down
Don't
the line,
doom yourself.
if
Don't
they
doom
portray
yourself.
if they portray everything that you just said, then I'll look back and be like, okay, I was wrong, and there's actually more to that scene than what I got from it. I think I was just really upset with the way that the mom was dynamicing with Kate, and no, he like. You brought up some good points with him being a snake there. Like it was great. And like just him just not trying whatsoever. Like it was great as well. And I don't know. I think it was just Kate like yelling at her mom to like focus on what was happening. And I'm like, why is the mom just not focusing on it? And then if you're right, and she is just like, I don't know, has some sketchy plays of her own and is possibly teetering between the lines of good and evil or something like that, then I'll eat my words. But Taylor Field, you also love that scene.
I do. I think it was great how she was trying to get a rise out of him, instigate it, and her opportunity where she went for him and he deflected that right away. 100%. That was just great. I loved how it showcased what she was trying to do, her intelligence. I loved how it showcases he's got a lot more behind his back besides the butterscotch candies, but he's definitely he's definitely got the mum under his magic spell, I guess you could say. I'm not necessarily sold yet that she is like turned to the dark side or doing something.
So you're like
shady.
me and you just think she's stupid.
I wouldn't
Fuck
say
off.
I wouldn't say she's stupid.
I think she's like Kurt and complete innocent and Dexter. He's always defending these criminal types.
yeah. I'm the lawyer.
And like, I hope
for
you
all
didn't
these
see the promo for the
characters.
next Dexter, because I don't think you're right, Taylor Field. But we'll get in that this Sunday.
I don't think that I don't think that she is like in on it yet. Now, I'm not saying no. I need to be convinced. I'm not convinced yet, and I say that because I got the gist that like, hey, the Antonio Banderas guy will like axe her off once he gets her access to her money, because it was instigated like, hey, at the auction,
Well-
you don't have that kind of money. And he's like, well, I will. So
I took that also that he was saying that to his uncle, because I didn't even know that was his uncle until it's
I didn't know that was his
revealed in the
uncle
second
either.
episode. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, he killed his uncle so he could take his inheritance. But in that moment, I totally thought the same thing that you thought, because he's about to marry into this like really rich family, and then like just gonna take her money. Because in that moment, they don't say that they're related whatsoever. And then in the
prenups
second
don't
episode-
exist in the MCU, of course.
I don't know. You said he's got a magic aura
got a
about
magic
him or
spell,
something.
yeah.
She's like, we don't need it. We're
Yeah.
lovers forever.
Well, and even then, Kate right away is just like, well, what's the bloodline like? Like, who's in line, stuff like that. And she kind of portrays it like she's joking. But yeah, I think that's what they meant. That's some of the dialogue problem I had with it. Not so much the things you point out in episode 1, Kirkland, and like here. For me, it was just Kate, I think, came off. I liked the fencing part. The conversations she came off a bit too, and I'm not sure if they direct her to do this or this was Haley Steinfeld. My only con against her was she came off way too forceful at times, where just right away you'd be like, oh, you're not asking me questions because you care. You're asking me questions because you're sus of me. I think
Yeah.
she should have been a lot more friendlier up until the knife fight, and that's when you snap. But right away she's like, oh, so he's your uncle. Who's in line next? And just like pretty much just like, are you just saying like I killed my uncle? But he's like, oh, well, that's just life. It's sweet of you to ask. But her tone was not of a concerning person of all.
I like
No.
that headstrong attitude. I feel like it went well with her. Like, oh, I'm gonna call Clint again, and like.
I like
just
it
how
there.
she's
I just think
talking.
in public when she's trying to be sneaky around Jack, that's not sneaky at all. Like, and
And-
that's where he kind of got a read on her, and maybe that's the point that she's kind of young and plucky and making mistakes. So again, kind of like what we've talked about with the mom. I'll be a better judge of it later on when we see more of the character
Yeah.
dynamics.
Absolutely. I think in those scenes that you just mentioned, that's something that I just really didn't like because, yeah, Haley Steinfeld's coming off very forceful. She's basically accusing a guy that we all but know for sure that he just killed his uncle. His reaction in those moments, like if some girl or like, what is that even called?
Stepdaughter.
Your stepdaughter. There you go. Your stepdaughter is just accusing you of murder, which you definitely did, and you're just like not reacting whatsoever. The mom, who you're basically like, and then back to Kate Bishop's shoes. I'm accusing my soon-to-be stepfather that he just murdered his uncle, and she's just like, oh, this is just fun dialogue between this new family that we have that I didn't even tell you I was
She had
getting
a
married
few.
to this very mysterious man. Oh, she's been having a few this whole series, so that's how you can
Yeah.
defend that character.
Yeah.
I just really didn't like those dialogue, and then it was just worse at the dinner for me personally. There was some good moments with the fencing that you guys brought up, but all in all, I just didn't really like scenes at all.
So Taylor, you're gonna tell me what you thought about these episodes, but I'm gonna rattle off some stuff because I gotta go here. So I'm gonna rattle some stuff off, go to ad break, and then you can tell me if you liked episode 1 or 2 more. But I am with Kirkland, where I liked episode 1. That's not a big step down for me because episode 2 was really good. Like I said, loving both episodes so far. My cons are very, very minor. Wouldn't really affect the score that overall. It's just a little, I tweak it here or there. And again, that's the fun thing with these shows that are weekly and the reviews. We kind of have to wait and see, and maybe it'll pay off and be great, and maybe Dune will go from 9.5 to 10, or we get Ralph Bonard, and that is always a possibility. But yeah, I still really like the episode. I do prefer episode 1. I think it was just a good setup. But what I love the most is, it wasn't a Clint episode per se, but it kind of felt like that because we talked about that in episode 1 where it just feels like there's other times where he's been a part of the Avengers and it feels he's kind of torn of like he wants to be with his family, but he wants to also be a hero. It feels like he's completely over the hero business and he wants to be with his family, but he still has that like hero itch in the back of his mind of not so much of like, oh, you got to be out there fighting crime, just like, no, this girl might be in trouble and you can't leave her, like that sort of deal. And just even the parallels of him like bandaging up Natasha is very, or see, there you go, bandaging up like Haley Steinfeld feels like something him and Natasha would have been doing. People have been sharing it. It's 100% of they did that in Black Widow with Natasha and Yelena and stuff like that. So they're hitting that dynamic well. I really loved Haley Steinfeld when they were staying at her aunt's and she was wearing like that robe and he's like, change, like you look weird and stuff like that. But that's the best part, and that's why maybe honestly eventually I might like episode 2 more. Yeah, I go back and forth now even when I'm talking about it. I think it's because maybe I'll like more episodes later on when they're together even more. But the dynamic that they had, like obviously Haley Steinfeld, Jeremy Renner, 2 great actors, but you never know if people are gonna have chemistry. And obviously this is kind of like a father-daughter chemistry or a very big brother little sister, and their dynamic back and forth is great. Like their dynamic is so good. I don't want this to be Jeremy Renner's like last go at this, so I want another venture of these two because I don't think he'll die. I think he'll get a happy ending, but I want to see more of the Hawkeyes together. And just it's gonna be tough too because when we get Miss Marvel next year, I feel like they're already doing the like fangirling thing, and all due respect to that actress, like Haley Steinfeld's great. And I don't know if you'll be able to updo that, plus the chemistry and just everything of just them talking about being an Avenger. Like, when do I get the trick arrows? And like him getting the number and her just like being in awe. And when she stops, like, no, you inspire people and stuff like everything, every scene they had, it's like 10 out of 10. Great stuff. Like I just loved, like she really played the shell shock of seeing her hero in front of her, and he doesn't even fully know that. But that scene, like, so when they were walking on the sidewalk, and he got the number, and there's that joking about texting you, and he's like, if you text it too much, I'll block you and delete you, like right away. Like it was so good. There was like lots of great kind of back and forth that felt very much like the Matt Fraction one we're reading right now. So just all in all, that was good stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. The LARPing was all fun. I know you guys will cover about that, but that was like that stuff where I know some people might be like, oh, why do we gotta do this? We wouldn't do this in a movie, but I just kind of like it because it's kind of like what we're reading right now with Hawkeye. Like there's some issues where it is just like, hey, this one's just about the dog, and with the TV shows you can kind of do that. Like, do I want a whole LARPing episode? No, but I like that there's a section of him just doing this, and like when it's like, yeah, I'll give you the soup, but you gotta let me kill you. So much stuff. We met Grills, which I couldn't believe we actually met Grills. That was fantastic. My last shout out sucks that Kate's place is all burned up, but I'm sure it was looking nice. So hopefully
it was a cool design of an apartment. I liked it. Yeah.
So the one thing I want to show that I think was a complete Home Alone reference is at one point in the Tracksuit Mafia, they threw something at them, and he says, "Is that all you got? Throw another one." And I feel like that was supposed to be like Marv, like saying, or Harry saying that. Like he said it exactly like Harry from Home Alone. So try and catch that. And 2, I really loved the whole ending as far as him getting, like, he has this complete plan, like the catch and release, just like Natasha, just like Avengers, and Kate's gonna ruin all. And I love, even though it's just small, I love the little like introduction to Echo of just, she's in a room, she's listening to music and has her hand on the speaker, and if she is our bridge to get Daredevil in the MCU, they knew exactly what they're fucking doing by putting her in those red lights, because that's all I was thinking about. Like, if they know Charlie Cox is coming, that's the thing. So yeah, I really liked episode 2. Can't wait for the other one. So we're gonna take our, I guess, first ad break for episode 2, and then they'll be right back. So boom, and that's all you guys.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. What? So,
Clearfield, did you like episode 1 or episode 2 more? He didn't even ask you that.
I liked episode 2 more.
Yeah,
I really did, and the LARPing thing was definitely a big kicker for me. Yeah, it was such a fun episode. I like the progression for it, and I have a question for you. I'm wondering, do you suspect the foreshadowing element of the guy Grills in the Ronin suit killing Hawkeye, and LARPing? Do you think that is a foreshadow? I feel like that could easily be maybe a misdirect or a foreshadow.
Of Ronin killing Hawkeye? Like, you're saying someone else is going to don the suit, or it's literally going to be Grills?
I don't
just chops down.
Grills just fucking cuts him down. I don't know if it would be Ronin per se, but I think it more or less maybe a foreshadow of him actually dying in the show.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know. In that moment, I didn't really find too much symbolism from it. I honestly thought Grills was gonna be like, well, I won the suit fair and square. You're gonna have to take it off me. And then like they already mentioned that like all the LARPers are like firefighters and cops. I feel like they would have like Hawkeye would have tried to just take the suit, and then they would have just like arrested him or something. But we did not go that route. Grills stuck to his word, which is a man of honor. Definitely much respect to him. But no, I don't know. I don't think anything's really hinted to him dying off. I feel like maybe if we had the Hawkeye that we have like in the comic, where he doesn't have like a full family that are like waiting for him at Christmas, you know, like he was just this like bruised and beaten up soldier that just has like sad memories in his mind of seeing like Natasha just die like right in front of him. I feel like, okay, this is gonna be a swan song, and he's gonna go off and I don't know, do that sacrifice hero death or something like that. But I don't know. I think there's just too many happy things waiting for him that if they go the other route and actually just kill him when they have all his family there, I'm gonna be like ugly crying at this, and I'm gonna be like, "Fuck you, MCU! I can't believe you did this to Hawkeye. He's been through so much. Just give him a happy ending." I think that's why I'm just really leaning in the camp that he is gonna get a happy ending. But something that's really awesome about that route is it leaves the option of him possibly coming back in the future, right? Travis was mentioning he wants more Kate and Clint dynamic. I'm 100% agree with him. I'm assuming you probably agree with him since episode 2 is your favorite episode so far, because their dynamic was just so good, and them just like getting such a strong start with that like dialogue back and forth just at the very beginning of episode 2 when because it literally starts when they're just like in that alley and then they're walking away and Clint's just like, or what'd she say, like I've been doing martial arts since I was 5. He's like, what was that, a year ago? And like that was like the first line that they basically had together. So it's just like right off the get-go they've just had this like Travis was mentioning like father-daughter dynamic. It's really like an older brother younger sister dynamic in my opinion, because it just he's got his daughter, he's got his kids. I feel like now it's just like, who is this brat that like, okay, I have a responsibility for, but also it's not my offspring. I'm not like, oh, do you want some chocolate on the way home? No, like fucking fend for yourself. Like it's one of those things which is really, really fun. And I was really curious actually getting into the show what the dynamic would be, because I mean, Kate Bishop and Clint in the comic, and again, I kind of prefaced earlier, I don't want to just like dissect each comparison. We're probably going to do that quite a bit in the actual episode for CBV that we'll be doing. So tune into that. That's a little promo for it. But nonetheless, I think just from what I was getting from reading that, like they have like some like sexual tension at parts in the comic.
Oh, okay, I'm not the only one. Okay.
No, dude, I'm like
so.
shipping them in the comics. I'm like, this is a spicy romance. And then in my mind, I'm like, hey, if we're getting into the MCU show, Clint Barton's got a family. He's got Linda Cardellini, like waiting for him.
You're afraid that episode 2 or 3 there's gonna be sexual tension.
Jeremy Renner, you know, he's a pretty old guy. I'm not saying he's old. It's just he's grizzled. And Haley Steinfeld, she's an adult woman. But I still feel like it would be weird if they're just macking it on screen or something like this. And it's funny, too, because at the beginning of this episode, or actually, sorry, in the first episode, when Clint's like with his family, part of me is just like, oh no, like where's his wife? Are they going to say that he's just like divorced or something? And this is where this weird romance is going to be with Haley Steinfeld? I'm glad we didn't go that route. But nonetheless, I was just curious what the dynamic was going to be. And I think they're killing it. Honestly, we've only seen it in episode 2 so far, but all the moments with the two of them are just great. And not even just them together. Like I think them on their own is so good, and I think that strengthens our protagonists, because you know that they're not just good together. You know, like they can actually hold their own. Like Kate on her own is amazing. Huge Haley Steinfeld fanboy, so again, huge bias there. But again, like Jeremy Renner's Clint Barton, I've really grown to love that character through the MCU, not just in this. Everything he's gone through, I'm just really rooting for the guy, and I'm so glad he's getting his own show. I was kind of saying that earlier, but gosh, I was going off there for a while. I need some water. What did you even ask me? Oh yeah, is he gonna die? Gosh, that seems like an hour ago.
That was a tangent.
Yeah.
I personally, in retrospect now, just thinking like, hey, the only one he's got left is his wife. All his friends are dead. His Avengers team is literally dismantled. The only one on the Avengers team still kicking would be Bruce and Thor. And yeah, because Cap is long gone. Tony's dead. Nat's dead. Thor is with the Guardians in space, and Bruce Banner, I don't think he ever really had a close relationship with Clint to begin with. So there's that.
work guys, you know.
They just work together. Yeah.
They didn't really know what to talk about when like one friend leaves the room. It's like,
Yeah. So I think this is great because Kate's gonna be that, like, fill the void of that, like, really good friend to him. And it'll be like a good, like, clashy relationship like friends will have. And I think that's gonna be great. I do really like how Clint's wife knew like trouble with like the wardrobe troubles, like is how when she addressed it when she's talking to Clint on the phone. I like that Clint keeps her in the loop with things and not in the dark.
No, I love that. And like I was saying earlier, part of me was like, they better not fucking divorce. They had such a good relationship. What
Yeah.
is this? And then when we actually got her, and, you know, because they've always had great chemistry on screen together. And I really buy into that relationship. They just seem like such a happy family. And I think to get like a really happy family like that, happy wife, happy life, you got to have like communication, right? And like a strong just trust there. Like they're really open together, and like you just mentioned, like she kind of assumed what was going on from what she was seeing on the news, and he wasn't like trying to be like, oh no, don't worry about it, I got it, like I'll be home for Christmas, I'll figure it out. It's like kind of what he was saying to his daughter, just like, I don't know, try and comfort her, because she knows what he's been through. She knows that he's an Avenger. She knows all these terrible things that he's gone through. I'm assuming they've had dialogue together about all that stuff. So I think that was really, really special. And I hope we see more. What's his wife's name in the show? I just know the actress's name.
Ooh, let's see here.
Yeah, you look at whatever his wife's name is. I hope she has these little appearances like what we've got from her so far. Laura, there you go. I hope we get these just sprinkled phone conversations. I hope she at some point interacts with Kate. I think that would be lots and lots of fun. Yeah, no, I quite like it because I loved her with Nat. I thought they had a special relationship too. It was just I've always liked her usage in the MCU, and it's not overwhelming. It helps that I like the actress, so that goes a long way too. But yeah, no, that's all that stuff's great.
Absolutely.
Where do you want to go next on episode 2? I mean, we had the LARP being mentioned. We could just dive right into that.
Yeah, let's do it.
I guess we kind of already talked about some of it with Grills and taking the Ronin suit, but I just love that sequence when not only is he like signing up to do the LARPing and all these things, but like when he just gets out there and he's just like actually just destroying all these LARPers. It was just so fun. It's just, you know, everything that he's gone through, and you just see him just dismantling these like grown ass men and women.
Like all those scenes were great. The one scene that really got me was when the girl died in front of him, and it's slow mo. He's like, Jesus Christ! Like it was so good.
No, totally. Yeah, all that stuff was so good, and it was really good, just comedic time. And like Travis mentioned earlier, like I think a whole episode on LARPing would have been a little too much, but I'm glad the way that it was used in this. Bless you, sir. I saw that. And
You weren't supposed to hear it.
I didn't hear it. No, I got subtitles on that one. Yeah, no, I thought it was good because it was hinted at with like the fire truck. And
The sticker on there, right?
yeah, and like earlier I was kind of like eye rolly with the whole him going into the fire scene and all this stuff, and I get it. We need to have this moment just for him to get into the building, but like honestly, when the explanation of someone just took the suit because it was just badass and they're gonna LARP with it, I love that. I thought that was great. And yeah, we got the introduction of Grills. Curious where his fate's gonna lie.
I hope he doesn't die. I'm worried because what
Yeah.
if the gang thinks like, hey, we see his Instagram where he's
That's what I
wearing
was
the
thinking.
suit.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's 100% what I thought. Especially because in the video, it's like, oh, Grill's got the suit now, and I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna do this guy dirty. He's gonna have a terrible fate, just like he did in the comic.
Yeah.
So there you go. But yeah, no, So you think we're gonna see him again? Do you think that's what's gonna happen? Do you think he's gonna die?
Grills?
Like if you're a betting man, someone asked you.
I'm willing to bet that he'll stay alive.
You think we'll see him again though?
I think we'll definitely see him again. They made the emphasis of doing that scene like I'm Grills, and he was like, "Hey, call me Clint." So they set that up. I do think like, hey, there's a difference enough of him being a firefighter as opposed to cooking sausages on top of a rooftop of an apartment
Yeah.
building. So I think they'll definitely keep him around and keep him alive.
I hope he comes back, but also I feel like if he comes back, that's where he's gonna die.
Oh
So
shit.
I don't know, cause you said like that little dialogue that they had of like, oh, I'm Grills, you can call me Clint. Part of me is just like, okay, well, that's just like a fun nod to the comic, which I don't know. I think he was a great character the way he was used in the comic of him like just being like a neighbor of his. But if he's just like this guy that he just had the suit and they just don't interact anymore, I'm okay with that. I don't
You
know.
want to go to his dad's house, go through a flood, and
I mean, it's great in the comic, but I don't know where that would fit in this at all. That just
yeah, it
make
wouldn't
sense to
fit
me.
at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's the LARPing moment. Where else
the
do we go,
LARPing.
Taylor? Be the
Uh,
captain
I
of
mean,
the ship
I can't really think of anything other things that are huge. I mean, we talked about the
in this
sparring. We talked
episode.
about a lot of other things with Kate and Clint. I think one of the only big things left to talk about is when Clint goes to address the situation with the tracksuit mafia. You know, he gets himself captured. He wants to talk to Echo, the boss, and
Mm-hmm.
address it. And he's just trying to clean the slate for Kate Bishop, who crashes in. And I absolutely love that when she falls in there.
Yeah, no, that was so great. I love she was wearing like her Hawkeye outfit that looked so badass, and
Mm-hmm.
she's just ready to kick in the door and take some names. It just did
Mm-hmm.
not go to plan. Um, and yeah, no, that was so fun because it's like Hawkeye Clint literally had like a plan. Like what are the term that they call it where you like get captured and then do you remember what they called it?
I don't
It's what
remember.
Natasha did. Yeah, okay. Because it was Laura that told him, like, or, they're discussing what strategy to use. And then I think he says the name of it. I'm totally blanking on it now. But that's where she's like, oh, yeah, it's one of Nat's favorites or whatever. Great moment there. But it's just so fun because Clint had, like, a plan, but he just didn't tell Kate Bishop about it because why would you, right? Like, why would I tell this kid about my plan there? And then it just completely goes to shit because she was in there trying to save him, doing basically a Hawkeye thing, like trying to save the day. And she didn't know that he had a plan at all. And it was just, yeah, it's a fun dynamic when you have like the apprentice trying to save the master when the master had a plan. And then it's
Yeah.
just, God damn it, apprentice, know this. But then from the apprentice's point of view, it's like, well, you should have told me that there was a plan. Come on, I could have helped out at least a little bit or something like that. And I think I think the show going forward is going to be just evolving along that dynamic. Like there's going to be, I don't know, maybe two episodes down the line when he's like, okay, yeah, maybe we can like work together here. Then it just starts getting really like smooth, and then like by the penultimate finale, that's when they're just like dynamic duoing, and they're just totally the Hawkeyes, and kicking
Hawkeyes,
ass and
yeah.
taking names. And I think it's gonna be a fun evolution because I really want to see Haley Steinfeld, Kate Bishop, and just what we've seen in the comics because she's such a cool character, man. Like from issue 1 when we started in the comic, it's just I like fell in love with the character. I think she's such a badass, and I'm really excited to see where she goes going forward. And with Haley Steinfeld at the reins, I'm very confident that I'm gonna like. I mean, I've liked everything I've seen so far, minus the dialogue between her and her mom. You guys were talking. I think it was mostly Travis pitching, just like her being like some sort of criminal or shadowy dealings or something like this. I really hope that's the case because if that's not the case, I'm just like, man, this is just bad writing between the mom here. Like they made the mom so like flat and bland, and I really hope there's a story element there that saves it because if I get more of what I've seen, there's no like resolution like that. It's just, oh, what a missed opportunity with that character in my eyes.
Yeah, that's true. I know, again, like we talked about it. I just think the mum is under Antonio Banderas' spell, and there needs to be some
The
kind of-
mustache, man.
the mustache, yeah. There needs to be something that is kind of like adding credibility to why she's acting the way she is and why she's siding with him over her own daughter. That just seems sinister in
Yeah.
its own right. So
So piss me off.
yeah, like she's just dropping the excuse, hey, stay out of it, let the cops deal with it. I don't trust that, to be honest. So
And like the way that she's just dismissing her daughter, it's just really like irks me. But I don't know. I think Travis opened my eyes to a situation that is probably going to be fairly likely because I don't know. Just picture the end of the show. Like, is Kate Bishop just gonna be like, oh well, I'm just still a student, I'm just gonna go live with my mom, who's just hates me and is marrying this jackass, which I'm assuming isn't gonna make it out of this season, the swordsman. So you gotta imagine the mom will be pretty upset about that and possibly blame Kate for that. I don't know. Like, I think just me picturing the likelihood of what the end will just bring our character. I think she'll be on her own, and not necessarily a bad thing. Like on her own in the fact that she'll have just not relying on like her mom or anything like that, or the Bishop money. You know, like she'll be a Hawkeye. She'll have ties to Avengers, Young Avengers. You know, that's coming. She's a member in that. So, yeah, I think Travis. I think Travis sold me on the idea that she is some shadowy character, or who knows, maybe she's just like, oh no, I'm just blind and I'm just not gonna talk to my daughter anymore, and this is just God. She would be on my top 1 worst MCU character of all time, but that's probably a stretch. I probably have more that would beat her, but nonetheless, yeah. Fairfield. Any other notes, comments, questions, concerns?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, aside from that ending sequence, I like the dialogue. I liked how Clint was like, "Hey, it's like talking to furniture when he's trying to talk to these guys." The guys are like you don't criticize, or like you don't criticize, bro. You don't sarcasm, bro. Like just something, just being
the bro
like,
dialogue
really
gets you.
The bro dialogue, it really got me. That was like full on 10 out of 10 in that moment. But yeah, I do like how in these episodes as well, Kate has access to the security stuff, because when she used it the first time, I was like, where did she get this tech from? And then
so random.
It was so random. Like, oh, her mom's a security business owner guy, a girl. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, at first it was just like, oh, this is convenient. She's got like a 4-on-1, but it's like way more accurate.
Yeah.
And then no, I think on the second time she used it, I noticed it was like Bishop security, and I don't know, that was just something that wasn't clear right away of like what her family actually did. I'm not saying you have to explain it right away, but like that moment happening where you don't really know what the family even does to get their wealth, and then it's revealed. It's not a major thing, but it's there. It could have been a little bit more clear. And on that same note, I would put Jack and his uncle in that same route, because you have no idea that they're related until the second episode, right? When it's like they have that dialogue, and Armand, the second or the third, whatever number he was, is just like, you got to control your fiance, blah blah blah, and it's just very sus in that moment. And I'm like, why is he talking to this guy? Like, it just seems so random that they just know each other here. They're both in this really sus meeting. It's just not explained right away. I don't know. It's a little strange. I'm glad, again, that we got episode 2 in this first week, because I would have been like, this is just so random. Like, like what are these ties to all these different people? But that's what's so nice about having 2 episodes, that you don't have to force it in the first episode, and we can consume it right away and have a little bit of more knowledge on the world heading into week 2, which is going to be episode 3.
Absolutely. That's probably my one con, is just them setting up the relationships with some of these characters in a later episode than that first episode. It just makes it kind of a little trickier to follow. But needless to say, we're here now. It's all good. You mentioned something that made me want to just put this out onto the table.
Put it out.
It's worth noting that the mom and the dad of Kate, like the Bishops, were considering getting rid of the penthouse, I'm assuming due to finances. And now all of a sudden, you know, he dies. She's a single mom, but she's now obviously crazy rich. Now, is that because of illicit activities, or is it because of her company just booming in security after aliens attack, which is justified? I could see that being the case, but it does add the credibility, like, hey, she is doing some stuff. Kate wasn't around for that whole period of time to witness them meeting, getting the engagement, and maybe her doing some illicit activities. She does have a surveillance setup, so it makes it pretty valuable. Like, she could use that for bad. So I do think there is some little plot points that do kind of make and lean towards that. Like, maybe we get a moment where the mom's like, Kate, you don't know what I had to do to put you through school and get you everything you wanted. I had to work hard, and I had to do like some things like were like, you know, a little shady and all that kind of stuff. So you need to respect what I did for you. And then Kate will be like, no, Mom, you're on the wrong side of history. Something like that.
Your dialogue is amazing. I would argue it's possibly better than what I got in that dinner scene and the office scene. Just any scene with the mom and her. I don't know. But no, you brought up some good points, and you also reminded me of just certain events that happened revolving around the mom. I mean, I even brought up just that sus conversation that she had with Armand, and like she didn't seem too annoyed. It was more, or let me rephrase that. She didn't seem too like scared, especially when Kate Bishop's like, "Was that guy threatening you? What's going on here?" She's just like, it's just a nuisance. Like, it's business.
Yeah.
I'll take care of him or something like that. So again, that's just more push towards the sus route for this character. And then you mentioning or reminding me rather that like they had financial struggles or something like this, and now she's just top of the world. She's CEO of the company. I don't think she can like plan a Chitauri attack to like take out the husband.
That's
I don't know. Well, maybe it was her that opened that portal. Talk to Loki and Thanos soon. Wouldn't that be insane? She's revealed as like not just like a kingpin type character, but like literally someone that was like in the Black Order, like dealing with Thanos. Just like what?
The Mysterio scene where from which was it? It was Civil War where Tony walks out on stage and it was like flashback where it cuts to the side of Mysterio to the stage. We'll get like Loki showing up to Thanos, and then we'll cut to the side and see her standing off to the side.
It's just her.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I would laugh out loud, and I think it would make me hate the character even more because I'm like, this is ridiculous. What are we doing here? But nonetheless, don't think that'll happen. But I've been wrong before.
Let's hope not. I got nothing else.
You got nothing else? Yeah.
No. Oh, I will say score was good. Score was pretty.
Yeah, the score was really good.
Theme when that credits
absolutely,
roll.
And even just when Clint is being interrogated by the tracksuit mafia, and then Kate falls down, and it's like this heroic theme that's playing. It's quite fun. Is that a theme that's already been used, or is it a new theme for Kate Bishop?
I think it's a new theme.
Yeah, it just played, and I'm like, this is hilarious. It's like her superhero landing, but she's like falling on her ass.
Yeah,
All the guns are on her, and then just like the music's just like. It's like, oh, okay, no, she's not killing everyone here. It was rather funny, and I think it just added to the comedic moment to it because she's there, she's in her suit, she looks badass, she's ready to kick ass, but nope, she's just in wrong place, wrong time.
She curled her hair, she got her weapons all ready.
She did curl her hair. Her hair's looking mighty fine.
She's looking awesome. Yeah.
You reminded me too. So I forgot to shout out in the first episode. Was when we mentioned that. Her mom like asked her to put on the red dress, and then in that moment I'm like, oh, I'm getting Hailee Steinfeld red dress here, and then she wasn't wearing the dress. I was more upset than the mom. I'm like, what is this? Come on. I wanted my spicy red dress moment with Hailee Steinfeld. But
I think she'll maybe wear a dress at some point in the show.
Yeah, she's coming off as a very athletic and not so much selling her body, selling her skills, which I'm totally game for.
When she
just had to spit out my misogynistic comment of the night. Got to do one a cast at least.
When she was wearing the black tux, I thought she looked great in it. She rocked it so well, and I love that the caterers were wearing the same thing.
Oh, it was great.
So hilarious.
No, it was great. Yeah, I love that. At first, I'm like, what the fuck? Why is she working the event? This is so random. But no, she's just wearing the suit.
The guy that walked by her said, like, hey, get back to work. Didn't you say that?
No, yeah, exactly. At first, I thought that was, like, her buddy or something. I thought it was going to be, I don't know, some dynamic there. But no, she's just, I don't work here. And then Armand approaches her. And he was being very sus with the mom, too. And again, maybe that's something I just didn't focus in on enough is, like, all these weird things dealing with the mom. My gosh, dude, the more I talk about it, I'm like, can we just go back and re-record that first episode? And I can just say how great those scenes were because Eleanor actually is sus. I think I'm selling myself on it. The more I like remember these moments, like, do you remember the dialogue between her and Armand? It's like, oh yeah, they're getting married, and then Kate Bishop's like, oh yeah, no, it sucks that she's marrying him, eh? And then he's like, oh no, I'm more worried about your mom.
Yeah.
God.
Well, it could
right
be
over my
like
head.
It could be
God
like
damn
crime
it, Kirklin.
bosses,
Come on.
like crime syndicates marrying into each other or something like that. For all we
and
know.
I think that is probably what's going to happen because we know Jack's sus. Come on, he stole the Ronin sword. We all but know that he killed Armand. He's got like the token, the little the little mint thing, whatever that was.
Butterscotch.
Yeah, the butterscotch. Thank you. And then just their interactions are so strange. Like, do you remember the dialogue when he's like sitting down with Kate and her mom in that office, and then Kate's like being really aggressive towards him, and then the mom's like, "Come on, Kate, whatever." And then Jack is oh no, this is important. She's got to show her aggressiveness, but also it was just, again, I don't even want to paraphrase it because I'm going to do a terrible job at it.
He's
but
been reading a book.
It's just so strange, like the dialogue there. It, like, a part of me, I'm like, is he like flirting with her right now? Like, this is just so weird. And I think part of that is why I just hated the dialogue in those moments. But fuck it, man. I'm like convinced myself that now the mom's super sus, and I'm like, God. Well, whatever. Next episode, it'll probably be revealed, and then I'll be like, well, I was wrong.
Travis is gonna come back. Like, he left this cast thinking like, we don't think the mom's sus. Just she's.
That's all he's thinking about right now. He can't
And
even
now
focus on his movie that he's watching.
Yeah, he's gonna come back and be like, Travis, can you believe the mom is like a crime syndicate boss? Like, complete 180.
It's been a complete 180. That's, you know, it's been a fun journey from the start of this episode to the end of the episode. So, I don't even know. It's 2 episodes. We talked about 2 episodes in it, so we might break it down in 2 episodes. But nonetheless, I don't know. I'm not going to rate the episodes individually. I'll wait for the series to be over. Same thing I've done with all the Disney shows so far. I don't know if you want. Do you want to rate each episode?
I'm not gonna rate each episode because, like, I always forget to rate them, and yeah. But I am gonna say, like, so far, this show in general is a 9 out of 10 for me. I'm gonna dock at the 1 because
the rare docket from Taylor.
I know.
I like it.
It's definitely that'll fluctuate. If the show progresses, it could easily go up to like a full 10 out of 10. I'm just, the humor and everything in this is great. I love it. The thing I'm gonna dock off is just the fact that I feel like it is a little slow with some moments, but they're not. It's not necessarily a takeaway. I think the slow moments are just moments that I think are like exceedingly long. And I'm gonna say that opening sequence was very long in the first episode with the play and everything. I would have liked more PTSD.
You hated the play though.
Well, yeah, I just think it poor taste. I think I would have really enjoyed more PTSD coming out of that play scenes. Like, all the time they were focusing on the singing and everything of the actors doing the show. I would have liked that to be screen time focused on Clint and emphasizing more so like he's got his earpieces muted, like, because it's just too stressful for him. See more of the nervous tics, him go to the bathroom, like maybe hyperventilating or just breathing in, like just having like troubles. Like, instead we got the scene of the guy like, can I have the autograph, like in the
I forgot to shout out that scene. I laughed so hard. Like, in the moment I'm like, oh, what's this guy just standing right next to like the empty like men's bathroom. There's like this unwritten rule for men, if you didn't know. There's any lady listeners out there, if you're in a bathroom and all the urinals are free, you never ever stand next to the guy there.
Never.
So first that was weird, and then it's like, oh, he's asked for his autograph. Okay, whatever. And then when I went to him, like, wash his hand, and the guy's just there with his phone. Like, now better time. Fuck, I chuckled pretty hard at that. That was great. But I think I agree with you. I think they were probably just trying to showcase their song that they had made. I mean, they were actually singing and dancing on screen. Maybe they're just trying to showcase those performers there. But
it's a real Broadway show coming. To real New York.
Hey, I'll get my tickets. I know Taylor won't, but no, I agree, because that moment was entertaining. I wasn't like laughing or anything. I thought it was okay, but the real heavy moment was when Clint like it goes to him and it's just like silent and they like focus in on Natasha. It was a very real moment, and it just went from super whimsical and like happy to just like serious. And maybe that's why it was so long, because it wants to like catch you off guard of like, oh, you got your walls down, you're just expecting this really happy scene, and then it just like immediately shifts, and he's like, I gotta get out of here. And that's probably why it was so long. But I agree with you. Could have shaved some time in there.
I did some funny photos up from this episode, and I wish Travis was still here, because like I just thought like going through here, I thought, okay, like I feel like the watcher. I could just see the watcher narrating in all these moments. So like she's screaming and he's just like talking, you know.
That looks like he's voice. Like she's running.
And there's the funeral scene there.
I don't know about the first one, but I 100% would give you this one. I could like picture the watcher actually like talking about this moment, like, with great loss brings opportunity, and like in a super like I don't know, sexual voice that guy's got.
Oh, absolutely. Like I put a few more. I went crazy with these. I was just
he looks like the
it.
villain. He looks like the villain in the scene. Oh my god, that's funny.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
For the
any
listeners,
more?
the mom's just carrying her. Oh, I got more. I got more.
Okay, bring him.
I had to do one here. It was just too good.
Oh my
Just
god.
creeping in the
Especially
bathroom
with, like, Clint's
stall.
eyes. It's like I know where the
Oh,
Watcher's
yeah.
looking. Oh
Absolutely. Like it's just it's just too good. You put the Watcher in any of these scenes and
my
it's so
God.
good.
my god. That is amazing. Oh, that was in
And
your
then
mouth.
I switched it up a little bit.
I didn't even see him at first here. I was like, "Where's the Watcher?"
He just blends in.
Oh
It's
my
like,
god.
oh, gotta have like a Ghost Rider make an appearance at
He could
this
fit.
party.
He could fit in that scene.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, there-
Well, that's the last one I did. I thought, okay, Taylor, I gotta stop making these because I was making them as I was watching the show. I think I gotta settle down here. So,
Oh, that's good though. I mean, God, those got me. I think my favorite one was the villain one, bro.
the villain one.
When
This
he's
one.
just like, New York is mine. Yeah.
Oh,
what
that's
if
good.
what if the Watcher was the main villain of the MCU?
What if the Watcher? Yeah.
That's amazing. I wasn't expecting that. Thank you, Taylor.
Oh, you're
You're always
welcome.
bringing gifts. I loved it. Yeah, I mean, I've really nothing else. I've depleted all my mental notes. I don't know.
I'm depleted too.
All right, gonna take us away.
Yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard all the plugs at the beginning of the episode. We're going to probably cut this into 2 episodes. So if you want to re-listen to it, there you go. Find us on our social media channels.
See you later.